Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast between Socke spawning as the blue Protoss player over here on the north side of the map. Yes, this is Desert Oasis. Don't know why this was part of the map pool, but this was a recent game and I decided to cast this. So it is going to be Socke or Socke spawning over here on the north side of the map. I believe it's German, so the people told me that, or my German friends told me that it's pronounced Socke. Meanwhile, we have Inuh or Inuh, I'm just going to call him Inuh throughout the rest of the match as the red Terran. So this is going to be Inuh versus Socke. Sorry if I'm butchering the names, I just don't know how to pronounce Inuh. Now, everything is already set. I have a towel over my mouse hand now that some people were complaining about the mouse clicking, so hopefully that is now muffled and we will not have any real issues. Production tab, we do have a pylon currently being warped in and a standard supply depot. Desert Oasis is one of those maps that was recently removed from the map pool. I talked to David Kim. He thumbs down Hulas Ravine and Desert Oasis as well. And then shortly thereafter, I guess all the fans and all the StarCraft 2 players, the pro players, also said that they did not like these maps, and now they're out of the map pool. But it does play for some very interesting games. We do see the supply depot and now the barracks coming in. Normally on Desert Oasis, Reapers would become a very viable option. Try to go for some sort of 9 Reaper harassment. However, because of patch 1.1.2, obviously there are no chances to do any more Reaper harassment. We do see an assimilator now coming in, refinery now coming in from Inuh. Meanwhile, we also have an assimilator coming in from Socke. So Socke pretty much doing the standard opening that 99.9% of the time that Protoss players do. Occasionally I see a 2-gate opening, but because of the walking distances between these two locations, I cannot imagine any sort of 2-gate rush. We do see one probe now will be making its way into the base, and now one SCB will go ahead and be able to greet him there. SCB now turning around, trying to get some damage more onto that probe. Will not be able to, as now in Inuh now getting 1 barracks. So with this 1 barracks in play and now training up a Marine, this probe will not be able to get any real harassment onto the base here. Now quickly coming around, making sure that there's no sort of cheese play. He pretty much came up the ramp, saw everything that he wanted to see, saw that the barracks was in place, saw the gas, and now saw 1 gas, and now Inuh getting a 2nd gas as well. So both sides going for more of a tech build, which does not surprise me all too much. Tech builds are very common, especially on Desert Oasis, as the 2 walking locations between these bases are very far. However, the flying distance is rather close. We do see the Cybernetics core now coming in from Socke, and I'm a little surprised that we do not already have a factory coming in. Just perhaps waiting for that last 10 minerals, and there we go. Should be getting a factory in just a second, and now that factory finally coming into play. Only 1 Marine guarding the top part of this choke point here. We do see a tech lab onto those barracks, but I do not see any Reapers or Marauders currently being trained. Spoke too soon as a Marauder now being trained, and an SCV coming in to get additional sight around this base, just trying to perhaps mine some minerals, delay some of this mining over here. Taking a look at the units tab, we do see 18 harvesters for the Terran player. Meanwhile, Socke's sitting on 23 harvesters. However, there will be not that much of a difference in terms of the income just because of that mule in play. I did catch sight of a Stargate currently being warped in, and I believe that the SCV did not see that Stargate. So that will be very interesting how the Terran player responds, and as that Stargate will be completed in about 30 seconds or 30 game seconds, and then move out. A Marine now trying to make sure that there are no proxy pylons anywhere to be found. However, we'll quickly come across that 1 probe in just a second. 1 Marauder on that high ground, a 2nd Marauder as well. Will that Marine be able to take down that scouting probe there and then deny any additional sight? We see that probe now trying to run up that ramp. However, a couple Marauders will be able to shoot it down. There it goes, and now we have an SCV activating this on Naga Watchtower. Production wise, we do see 1 Phoenix currently being trained. So Phoenix, instead of a warp gate, a void ray in this particular instance, we do see that the warp gate research is nearing completion as well, so we may get some proxy pylon play. Proxy pylons would have a very effective strategy here. If for example Socke was to get a pylon here, he would be able to warp in units onto that high ground as long as he had sight, which that Phoenix would be able to provide. But I do not see that probe trying to come into this position, even though he has easy access and sitting over here by this one Naga Watchtower. Phoenix now just making his way around the map, trying to get as much sight as possible. Both sides playing more of an economic game. You can see that their armies are rather small, and both sides just want to make sure that when they do attack, they have the proper units and counter units to deal with whatever army is out there. we do see one Marine now trying to come in, trying to shoot down that one medevac, or sorry, that one Phoenix. However, that Phoenix now trying to go after that medevac. We do see 2 Marines in play, however, and those 2 Marines will be able to get some damage. Are we going to get Graviton Beam? There we go, a quick Graviton Beam. Down goes one Marine. A second Marine may get Graviton Beamed once again. However, now going after that key mule, so that mule now shot down, and now no more energy left on those Phoenixes in order to try to Graviton any more units. We do see a Viking now trying to make its way out. As that Phoenix decides to pull back there, we do see a very, very skeleton army here as another Phoenix comes out of that Stargate, and we will get a lot of Phoenix harassment. So that Phoenix harassment may become very, very effective. We do see 2 Marines down over here. Are we going to get any Graviton Beams? No, does not look like it. We also are going to get a Viking in just a moment as well. Going after, I guess, some more mules. Doesn't see any mules. Are we going to get a Graviton Beam? No, no Graviton Beam as more Marines now being trained. And now we see Phoenixes trying to go after that Viking. Viking down to 15 hit points, and now Graviton Beam picked up and getting shot down. We do see Marauders now making their way over here, perhaps to try to destroy these backdoor rocks. So as those backdoor rocks are going to be exposed, we know that the Terran player will have multiple ways into this base. Also, we see one Twilight Council currently now researching that Zealot leg upgrade, as now one Phoenix trying to go after this medevac. Medevac down to 86 hit points, and that's going to be a very, very bad day for that medevac. Medevac does not move nearly as quickly as those Phoenixes, and those Phoenixes able to shoot down that medevac. However, the Marauders now taking their time trying to take down this one set of destructible rocks here. As I set my status to busy so that no more messages come in. We do see a command center now being placed down here with the missile turret. The missile turret there to protect any of those SCVs and mules from those Phoenixes. We currently see an army of 4 Phoenixes in the air, and now this one SCV, as it's trying to build this location, may get Graviton beamed and picked up. So this is going to be very, very bad sign. One SCV already down, second SCV now down, and now nothing that really the Terran player can do unless it transfers more SCVs, and including a couple Marines. Now, Phoenixes versus Vikings, the Phoenixes actually will win in a 1v1 fight against a Viking, so that's a little bit counterintuitive. However, because those units are not armored, one Phoenix down to 6 hit points, barely able to escape, very nicely done, and those shields will be able to recharge. One of the things to keep in mind is that the Phoenix is not an armored unit, and secondly, it has more hit points and shields combined than that Viking. Even though that Viking does attack at a normal 20 damage, or 20 damage in attack against a Phoenix, the Phoenix fires much, much more quickly. So we do see that now that these Phoenixes trying to move out, perhaps we'll be able to get some damage over here. No, will not be able to with one missile turret already in play. One missile turret dealing the same amount of damage as 4 Marines. And now that one missile turret will be able to shoot down that last Phoenix there, and down it goes. So missile turret dealing a lot of damage, and now in comes some Marauders. So the Marauders trying to put pressure onto this Nexus. The Nexus does have 2,000 hit points, and it may get shot down here. However, the Marauders are going to get taken down. Not quite sure what those Zealots were doing. It just looks like they ran past them for just a split moment, and that is going to delay Socke's expansion for quite some time. Once again, Nexus will take 100 units of time to be completed, and now with that Nexus down, it will be some while as Inuh are now able to set up this expansion over here. So Inuh getting an expansion over here, this one missile turret causing this one mule to mine a little bit further as it needs to walk around that missile turret, but that missile turret offering a lot of protection against all those units, and now Gravitoning another SCV. And just these Phoenixes are just constantly harassing. So what's happening is that Socke is trying to use these Phoenixes to just do constant harassment. And with that harassment, he'll be able to force his opponent to try to get more Vikings and more Marines in order to counter those Phoenixes. However, all Socke needs to do now is get into that Templar archives and now research Psystorm, and that Psystorm will be a strong counter towards those Marines and those Vikings that generally like to group up and fly very fairly slowly at only a movement speed of 2.75, faster than a medevac. But because they group up so much, a lot of damage is easily dealt to them. We do see one missile turret here, and Inuh just currently playing a slow macro game, and I don't know if I quite agree with in the Terran player's current methodology. A lot of studies have shown that Protoss players in general really have an advantage in the late game. I believe if you were at the multiplayer panel with Dustin Browder, David Kim, and some of the other 2 people from the balance team, sorry, don't know you guys by name, but if you watch that panel, they had said that the matchups in Terran versus Protoss are fairly even. Protoss with a slight advantage. However, and the advantage is even higher. The advantage seems to be the longer the game goes, as soon as the Protoss player is able to get that amulet research with Psystorm, and coupled out, being able to get a High Templar deployed instantaneously to the field, and then getting off one critical Side Storm on that Biobot deals so much damage. We do see a Thor now coming into play, and I like this play by the Terran player. Terran player will be able to get a round of attack onto those Phoenixes. Phoenixes get taken down fairly quickly by a Thor just because of that splash damage. Phoenixes do tend to stack up just a little bit. Another Graviton Beam, and now another Marine quickly getting sniped out of the air, picked up from the ground as more Vikings now trying to make their way out across the map. So Phoenixes and now being placed down over here, or sorry, guarding this one pylon over here, as we do see more units will be warping into the center location. We do see another pylon here, so Socke doing a great job trying to make sure that he is able to deploy anywhere quickly and throughout the field. And now we see Socke trying to taking this high yield gold mineral location. So Socke now quickly expanding into his third base. Taking a look at the harvester count, 55 harvesters for Socke. Meanwhile, in the Terran player Inuh sitting at 52 harvesters. Both sides the same amount of gas, as they're both running off of 4 geysers at this stage in the game. We do see some zealots now quickly trying to come in, able to snipe another unit as these zealots now come into the center location. We do see one photon cannon also being warped in as well. So what this allows the photon cannon to do is to get some free shots on any marauders and marines, and because they're unable to see past this brush. We do see more zealots and stalkers sitting over here. The one set of rocks over here have been destroyed. However, these rocks have yet to be destroyed. However, a Thor and some marines and siege tanks will be able to take it down very, very quickly. So I spoke too soon. All the rocks have now been destroyed, and now the Terran player will be moving out with a strong Hellion, Viking, Marine, Marauders, Thor push. The siege tanks do have siege tech, and now these Phoenixes will have to be very, very careful. If they take some splash damage from that one particular, from those 2 Thors, that will be a lot of damage. What these Phoenixes want to do is they want to try to Graviton Beam siege tanks and try to deny that. We do see one High Templar trying to come into position, and we will get a Side Storm. In comes one Side Storm, unable to get another Side Storm trying to come in, and a lot of damage being dealt across all of these units. Vikings and Phoenixes trying to dish out even more damage. However, it looks as though the Terran player doing a great job and will be able to hold off this attack. Another Side Storm coming in, though, off of a straight deployment. Another High Templar coming in as well. So a lot of damage has been dealt across all these units, and we do see another fresh High Templar will be able to come in just a moment and get another round of Side Storm. There we go, another Side Storm dealing so much damage, taking down a couple of those units. However, there are a lot of SCVs on auto repair, keeping these Thors alive. And now these Thors, SCVs also repairing each other, now repairing these siege tanks. And Socke will be forced to pull back, getting another Side Storm off and getting some damage dealt. However, the SCVs were not taken down, and this expansion will go down. So Inuh doing a great job getting Thors, and Thors with auto-repairing SCVs, such a strong way to just constantly move Thors and siege tanks. So this is a very, very gas-heavy, gas-intensive army. We should be seeing more Marines and more Hellions perhaps moving out as well, but I do not know how Inuh is getting this much gas. And now he is now throwing down some bunkers and some missile turrets to offer a little bit of static, stationary defense similar to in Brood War. So he's just going to simply build into his opponent's base, use bunkers, salvage them, also get some missile turrets to try to protect from any of those Phoenixes. He wants to make sure that those Phoenixes are unable to deal or pick up any of those siege tanks and then shoot them out of the sky, as those siege tanks take out once they're in ground mode are not nearly as effective. So siege tanks now continuing to move out. We do see more bunkers being placed down, Viking in the air, and Socke in a little bit of trouble here. We do see some we do see some of these units now moving out, and some zealots now simply going to be able to simply charge and take down that bunker very easily. There are a lot of Vikings in the air, but the Vikings are simply useless at this stage in the game, as there are no Colossi. Vikings now coming into that ground mode, finally able to offer some support. However, those Vikings attack fairly slowly and only deal 12 damage in attack. So their damage is their damage is a little bit less than a Hydralisk, or sorry, their damage is the same as a Hydralisk, but attacks much less, much slower. And now we see one siege tank finally trying to move out. Will that siege tank be able to escape in time? It looks like it will. Stalkers, however, may be able to get within range fairly quickly and then continue to give chase towards this siege tank. Siege tank moving at 2.25 compared to the Stalkers 2.91. And yeah, so that's siege tank, or sorry, that Stalker should be able to get 2 to 3 hits, or 1 hit every about 3 to 4 seconds. Stay tuned for part 2 of this replay between a red Terran player named Inuh and Socke here on Desert Oasis.